Hey guys, this is Drew Davis with the Every Arkansan podcast. Welcome back to another episode. This week, we've got Jen Stewart. Jen Stewart leads our Serve on the Street ministry. It's a great opportunity to get out there and serve people who you might not normally serve, those people who are experiencing homelessness. I hope these stories inspire you today. Glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, other than the fact that you have a pseudo-celebrity mother.
Yes, my mother's name is Martha Stewart, so we won't go into what her maiden name was because she was the butt of many jokes. Her maiden name was Butt. So anyway, she swore she was going to marry a Smith and ended up marrying a Stewart, so now she's Martha Stewart, and that's my only claim to fame. It's my mother. So besides having a mother named Martha Stewart, I am an Arkansan. I was born and raised here, and then in the 90s, I moved away from Little Rock and moved back in 2012. And during that time, it was filled with lots of education, but unfortunately, during that time, I kind of fell away from God, and lots of life changes. Now I'm back, and I'm single, and I have one child, but he has 4 legs and barks, so that's my fur baby, Indy. And for fun, I actually enjoy the symphony. I go to the symphony. Bucket list is go to the Big 5, which are the top 5 symphonies in the U.S. So hopefully I'll check one of those off my bucket list this year. And I really have a heart for serving, and that's why I'm here.
We all kind of talk about this dream that we kind of get. Tell me a little bit about what's your passion, what's your dream, and how you've kind of found it.
So, a little bit earlier, I alluded to the fact that, I kind of fell away from God. Just to give you a sense of my growing up, I grew up in a church that basically scared you. So, yes. My mother likes to tell the story that when I was in kindergarten and in church, they showed a picture of the devil, which, of course, is the ears and the red, and I got scared and cried, and they couldn't get me to stop crying, so she had to come get me out of church. So that's kind of I call it the hellfire damnation, and it scared me into being a Christian. So I really didn't understand the joy of being a Christian until after I fell away from God, because that's all I knew of God, is that if I did wrong, he was going to punish me. So I became very selfish, and anyway, ended up falling. In Proverbs, it says that pride comes before the fall, and all I thought about was me. I was very successful from the outside. Everyone thought I had everything, and really on the inside, I was miserable. And so when I fell hard, and I had fallen into alcohol and drugs, and just, hated myself, hated life. And I tell you what, Drew, if it wasn't for my family and a few good friends that really picked me up and encouraged me and held on to me and fought for me, I could be homeless right now, honestly. And I realized that is what we are called to do. As people of God, as Christians, we're here to serve and help others and to lift others up. And with the homeless, I really feel that they are lacking that person that can help them and encourage them and show them the light of Christ. And so after my fall, and then, building myself back up with the help of others, that is really what I want to do, just because it's my story too. I understand loneliness. I understand addiction. I understand, just feeling like you have no one or nothing, and I feel like I'm called to love and to serve these people. So
yeah, and it's so amazing to me. Oftentimes we just say, oh, they're homeless. We categorize them as homeless versus they're experiencing homelessness. It's kind of like saying, oh, you're just a hopeless person versus you're just experiencing a time of hopelessness.
Yes.
And that's just so important to me, just to grasp that they're just like us. They've gone through all kinds of mistakes, and if it weren't for the people in your life, where would you be? And in their situation, there might not have been those people in their life.
Right.
And that's so important. One of your big things is serve on the street. I mean, what kind of, when you started going there, what kind of made you latch on to that particular ministry in the way you serve there?
Sure. So the first time I ever went to serve on the street, there was a man named James. And I sat down with him because I'm one that I want to be out there talking to people. We have a lot of people that serve on the street that just want to serve the meal and be kind of a caregiver in that way. We have others that really want to get out there and talk to these people and find out their stories. And that's me. So I was sitting with James, and when the food line started, I told him, I said, James, why don't you go get a meal? And this is what he said to me, Drew. He said, I've already eaten once today, and I want all these other people to eat before I do. And I don't consider myself an emotional person, but that just tore me apart, because I have 3 meals a day. I can eat whenever I want. And so he said that to me. And so I sat with him while everyone went through the line, and he was actually reading a Bible, and it was torn and tattered and underlined, and he knew the Bible better than I did. And we were just talking, just sitting there talking about our favorite stories and verses and what inspires us. Anyway, the line started dying down, and I said, James, please go get something to eat. And he said, I will, Miss Jennifer. So he went through the line, and he sat with some people that he knew. And afterwards I was cleaning up, and I feel this tap on my shoulder, and it's James. And he says to me, Miss Jen, thank you so much for talking to me today. A man is telling me thank you just for talking to him. And I said, no, James, thank you. And so after that, we had talked about a particular verse. We talked about a devotional I was doing. So I went home. I bought this devotional. I actually wrote a letter of encouragement to James, and I was so excited to go back the next time because I wanted to give him this devotional and this letter of encouragement. And to this day, I've never seen James again. And so I still have that devotional and that letter in my car in case he ever comes back. But that's been over 2 years now. And I wonder sometimes if he was an angel sent to me to give me a directive, because that was my just point of no return at that point. His spirit, just the fact that he just soaked up every bit of encouragement, but more than anything, he blessed me. I don't think I blessed him as much as he blessed me. So I just fell in love with hearing their stories and their dreams and who their kids are. And we talk about their doctor's appointments and and there's always a story. And so I just fell in love with the ministry. And so here I am 2 years later, and now I'm leading it, and it's awesome.
I mean, it's just crazy to me. I mean, my James story, there are a lot of guys experiencing homelessness that I know as James. And I was pulling into downtown Little Rock, not paying attention to the world, had my daughter in the back seat about to drop her off at school, and all of a sudden this knock on my window, and it's this guy just waving and all of this, and I'm like, oh man, what does James want? And I rolled down the window, and he goes, hey, Mr. Drew, I just saw you and wanted to say hello. Aww. And it's so much of the time that we look at that guy panhandling on the side or whatever, and we're like, ooh, I don't want to make eye contact, or hey, what's he going to want, or whatever it is. But it was just one of those things. It was a little bit condemning and convicting because I hadn't even seen him.
Wow.
And the truth is all he wanted to do is say hello.
I know. And
so much of the time, we forget that loneliness is just so prevalent among the homeless and among so many other people that we just walk by every day.
Yes.
So with Serve on the Street, what are y'all really doing? What's it? I mean, Serve on the Street. I mean, I know where it kind of came from. I don't know that everyone that's watching this or listening to this has a clue why in the world it's Serve on the Street, but
so we're actually not on the street, but we are serving. Most people think, oh, you're just serving a meal to the homeless. There's so much more to that. It is actually going in and building relationships with these people, encouraging these people. These people have stories, just like I have a story, just like you have a story, and they want someone to listen to them. They want someone to encourage them. I think a lot of times we take for granted that we have at least one person that encourages us or that loves us, and we have a sense of community. That those experience homelessness kind of have a sense of community with themselves, but they're all in the same situation, and I think that they need to see someone else showing them the light of Christ and encouraging them. So we're not only feeding their bellies, we're really feeding their souls is what we're doing. And, I know people's kids' names. I know their doctor's appointments. I know their medical histories. I know where they're sleeping. I had one homeless person tell me, this is when it's really cold. I said, well, where are you sleeping, Carl? And he said, I take the bus when I can get money to St. Vincent, and I go to the ICU waiting room because otherwise he would freeze. It's just absolutely amazing the lengths that these people go to stay warm. Carl did end up getting off the street, and he's a success story. We also have those that are not success stories, but we love them anyway. So we just show them the light of Christ. That's really what we're doing, but we're also feeding their bellies, and that kind of gets us in the door and opens the door to talk to them by serving them food.
When we originally kind of started working with Serve on the Street, it was under the old Broadway Bridge.
Yes.
Which was always interesting because if it's raining, you got a little bitty dry spot, but that's about it. But whenever you tell anyone, hey, we're going to meet under a bridge, it's a little
intimidating.
Yes. And then now it's actually in a location, a building.
Yes.
It's part of actually a homeless church.
Yes. It's from His Throne Ministries. It's on Arch Street, and yes, you actually serve in a building. There's light, there's food, there's water. Pastor Joe and his wife are always there, and I have people ask me all the time, do you feel safe? And I'm a single woman by myself, and I do. I'm telling you now. The only thing I've ever seen is a fight in the parking lot, but Pastor Joe's went out and took care of that. But as far as when you go in, you start forming relationships with these people. And I have a couple of homeless men that honestly I think they would give their life. They're very protective of me, and they always ask me about my life. They want hugs. They just eat up that love. And I think it's really the light of Christ coming out of us that they gravitate towards. So, we've become a family. And now after we get through serving on the street, when I say we, the volunteers, we're starting to go to dinner together and really getting a sense of community and talking about who we've talked to. Listening or talking about prayers they may have, and we're building a sense of community on top of helping build a sense of community with the homeless. So it's really evolving into something that I think is precious, and that for people that have this kind of heart, because as we know, sometimes those experiencing homelessness, are not always easy to deal with. So it's not, serving this population takes, a strong person and someone that really has a love for it. So it's really great to hang out with people that have a heart for this. And I'm so excited to actually be able to lead this and hopefully grow it in a direction where we really help some people.
Yeah, I never will forget. We used to do a program on Saturday mornings, and then we had a woman walk in on a Saturday morning, and it was icy and freezing outside, and she walked in and she kind of sat down, half frozen. She'd been sleeping in a burned out house, and she couldn't move. I mean, she literally was just that cold and was just looking for just a place. And I watched how the volunteers that were there, they surrounded her. Let's get some coffee in her. Let's get her warmed up. Let's get some blankets, whatever it is. And then I watched through the day as she had a shower. She got clean, warm clothes. And she got treated like a human being.
Yes.
I can't imagine living in a burned out house or a boarded up house and the fears that come, or living on the street or whatever. But so much of the time, it's so easy, from my experience, to serve, because it's serving a meal.
Yes.
Or, hey, I've got an extra coat sitting over here, let me give that away, or a pair of socks. Socks are a huge thing.
They are.
My buddy Aaron Redden does Socktober every year because it's just so hard when you live out, and today it's raining outside, it's a monsoon, everything gets drenched.
Yes.
And when your shoes and your socks are wet, it's miserable. But just to see through these different organizations that come out, and whether it's From His Throne and Serve on the Street, or it's one of the many others, when you start to treat people with dignity and respect and like a human.
Yes.
Let's take a shower. Let's do this. Let's make your life as comparable to the way it should be as possible. Just the transformation. I saw that one woman go from that to she got a home. She was able to bring her own family into the home. She got a job. All these things, and it's not been without its hiccups and bumps, but the amount of transformation that can happen when we just love on another person.
Yes. And when we encourage them, and when we are there rooting for them. I mean, honestly, sometimes they just need a cheerleader in their corner. I've helped and assisted 2 people get jobs, and that doesn't mean that they don't have a home now, but at least they're off substances, they're going to a job. So it's those are the stories that we live for. Unfortunately, again, not everyone is going to get a job and get a home, but we're there just to show them the light and to continue to encourage them and pray with them and hopefully change their hearts and soften them.
So with Serve on the Street, they're going to come out, they're going to help prepare a meal, they're going to serve that meal, they're going to love on people. I mean, if you're antisocial, you can stand behind that line with
Absolutely.
that table between you and the other people that you're serving, or you can just go right out there in the crowd and just start loving on people. How does someone get kind of involved with you guys? Is this, I got to commit and I'm going to be there every night, or is this a little more flexible than that?
It is very flexible. We serve once or twice a month, depending on the month. It's the 3rd and 5th Friday of the month. And we serve it From His Throne. We start at 5:40, or we start serving the meal at 6. But if you're going to bring a component of the meal, and we don't want people to feel like they have to bring a component of the meal. But if they choose to do that, we want them there at 5:45. We serve at 6. Service ends at 7, and then we help clean up, wipe down tables, take everything out. And then after that, we go and fellowship together at dinner somewhere. The restaurants change, but yeah, so you're going to serve others, and then hopefully you'll come and have fellowship and food with us. But yeah, we do serve the meal, so you can actually stand behind the table and serve if you're not comfortable going out and mingling. A lot of people want to do that for a while, and then they see all these people, and they start seeing regulars, and they start talking to them, and then they want to go out and talk to their friends. So it's really fun to see the transformation of people and the friendships forming, and the encouragement and the love. And I had a lady walk up to me the other day, and she's like, she just came over and prayed with me. She's so sweet. She said, I have shoulder issues, and she pulled out this form from the doctor and explained all her shoulder issues, but she was just so excited that someone had taken the time to listen to her and to pray with her. And then she came up to me and was like, thank y'all so much for praying with me. So it will bless you. I promise you that this blesses me more than it blesses those people.
And you said something a minute ago that was kind of a shock to me when I kind of got into it. This isn't just single people that are there being served. There's families.
Yes, there's children.
There's children.
Yes.
And I think the statistic is right now, on any given night, there's like 3 million children that are experiencing homelessness. And so, this is not just a situation that you're serving the guy you see panhandling on the street. This goes way deeper.
Yes, there are men, women, children. I have a few girls that were on the street since 12. They're now 18 or 19. And, started ministering to that. I mean, there's all different types. There's all different walks of life. There are people that come in there that literally have lost their job, that are living out of their car, and they just don't have enough money to eat. So, it's all different stages of people experiencing homelessness. And our goal is just to encourage and love on. And if there is a way that we can help, for example, a lot of times these people don't know how to get an ID. So we'll print off how this is what you need to do. You need to go, here first. This is your steps to do that. So, they don't have access to computers. I've had a couple of people want to apply for jobs. So I'll take my computer in and I'll sit down with them, and they don't even have an email. So I'll make an email address for them on Yahoo, and then we'll apply for that job, and just to see the light in their face when they feel like they have done something. So, it's really, it's not giving a whole bunch of money. It's basically just going on and giving of yourself and your time.
And I think that you hit on another thing that we take for granted in the rest of the world is when you don't have an email, when you don't have a phone, when you don't have access to the things we're used to, even a home address.
Yes.
I mean, imagine filling out a job application and you can't list a phone number and you can't list a home address.
Yes, and I will tell you the one thing I love about From His Throne, Pastor Joe allows them to use the physical address, and he will offer out his cell phone number as like a message number. So, that's what it takes. It takes knowing someone that will help you get that email address, give you a physical address, and before that you feel helpless because you have no one. So that's what we're there to do. And again, it's not about money and giving money to these people. It's about giving hope and encouragement and helping them get a driver's license by telling them what their steps are, or helping them get an email address, or just saying, hey, how did that job interview go? What's going on? Did you go and follow up? I kind of feel like a mom sometimes. Did you follow up with that job? But that's what they need.
Right,
that's what, friends do. They encourage each other and ask about their lives. So that's what we're doing.
And so if someone wants to get involved and says, oh man, this sounds like my alley, I want to jump in here, how do they get in touch with you or
Right.
whoever to sign up to join you guys?
You can just get on the Arkansas Dream Center website, and you can sign up for Serve on the Street on the nights that we serve.
And if it's someone that's like with a church, are there other opportunities for like entire churches to say, I want a night?
Absolutely. Pastor Joe, I can put you in touch with him if you want to get a group together and do a completely separate night. I don't know what's open right now, but they are always looking for groups to help. So yes, definitely. And if Friday night doesn't work for you and you want to look at other evenings, I can always, put that person in touch with Pastor Joe, and possibly they could sign up with other churches to do so as well.
And then, just a practical thing for that person that's like, okay, I'm so antisocial, I can't even stand on the other side of the line.
Right.
They can drop off
Yes.
socks, coats, sleeping bags, blankets, all those things, and you guys can put them in the hands of people that need them.
Absolutely. I have people that come up to me when I'm unloading or loading back food, asking me, do you have any gloves? Do you have any? And honestly, I go to the dollar store and they have fleece gloves for $1, and I pick up 10 pair. And that's another thing we do. We walk around. That's another way to connect and just say, hey, do you need some warm gloves? You don't have to do that. That's not required. Another thing you could do is, if you do not want to stay and serve, or you're so antisocial, but you love to cook and you want to cook for these people, that would be great. We always need people to prepare the food because we don't cook there. We bring in the meal already prepared and warmed, and then we serve. So if that's something, that someone's called to do, I'll come pick up the food, or they can drop it off. However, but we always need food. And then if you have donations of clothes, blankets, anything, then I can get those in the right hands for people as well.
And one other big one that I've noticed is feminine hygiene products.
Yes.
You're living on the street and it's already tough enough, and especially for the ladies, those are a huge blessing that
Yes.
are oftentimes overlooked.
Yes. And it's things that I hate to say it, but we take for granted that they don't have access to. So yes, any of those sorts of donations, especially in the summer, I'll tell you, hand sanitizer or the baby wipes. They always want that. That's pretty much how they bathe on the street, is the baby wipes. Deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, and those are kind of the basics, just the basic necessities.
And here in Arkansas, bug spray.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
yes,
it
especially
doesn't matter
during the
where you live, inside or out. I mean, bug spray is a necessity for a comfortable life. Well, Jen, thank you so much for just sharing about where your heart is, where you're serving, and just opportunities for others just to get involved. And we just are so grateful that you're willing to go down there and just bless these people that are experiencing this homeless situation and tell them, hey, there's hope. It doesn't have to stay this way. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Every Arkansan podcast. We are so thankful that Jen Stewart has discovered what her God-given dream is, chasing after those who are experiencing homeless. I hope she inspired you to get out there and do something a little bit outside your comfort zone, to do something that's going to change the life of one of your fellow Arkansans.